Hello everybody, Marc Elliott de Lama here from Fluent Finance Abroad. In my previous video, we looked at refinancing options for non-resident homeowners and explained why the Spanish market is much more restricted than many people expect. In this video, I'd like to look at the other side of the market and explain how refinancing works for Spanish tax residents, people that live here, because there are some important differences. Whilst Spanish resident refinancing is still subject to strict affordability checks and responsible lending criteria, there are generally more lenders operating in this space. In addition to the traditional high street banks, there are also a number of challenger lenders who are actively looking to grow their share of the Spanish mortgage market, and refinancing is something they're interested in. These lenders don't necessarily have lower lending standards, but they may have a different appetite for certain types of refinance than some of the more traditional high street banks. That means one lender saying no doesn't automatically mean the whole market is saying no. Before I tell you about a real client situation, there's one very important point I want to make. Just because refinance may be possible, it doesn't automatically mean it is the right financial decision. Unlike countries such as the United Kingdom, the United States, refinancing a mortgage in Spain isn't simply a matter of signing a few documents and moving your loan to another lender. You're actually replacing one mortgage with another one. That process comes with costs that need to be carefully considered. Depending on your circumstances, these may include an early repayment or cancellation fee with your existing lender, the legal process of cancelling the existing mortgage. There will be notary fees, land registry fees to remove the old mortgage and register the new one. A new property valuation by the new lender will have to take place and paid for. And with some lenders, there is an arrangement or opening fee to open a new mortgage. When you add everything together, refinancing can cost several thousand euros. That's why we never recommend refinancing simply because a lower interest rate might be available. Instead, we carry out a detailed cost-benefit analysis to make sure the overall financial benefit outweighs the costs involved. Sometimes refinancing makes excellent financial sense, and sometimes it doesn't. Our job isn't simply to arrange another mortgage for you. Our job is to make sure refinancing genuinely improves our client's overall financial position. It has to make financial sense. A good friend of mine purchased his home in Spain around 4 years ago. At the time, a close family member of his helped him complete the purchase by lending him part of the money he needed for the deposit. Over the years, that arrangement worked well, but eventually the family member understandably wanted their money repaid. My friend approached his existing bank and asked whether they would increase his mortgage so he could repay the family loan. After several months of discussions, unfortunately, the answer was a no. He then reached out to Fluent Finance Abroad to see if we could look at the market and see if we could find a different lender who would take a different view. When we reviewed the case, the fundamentals were very strong. He had a stable and consistent income, an excellent payment history with his existing mortgage, and the outstanding mortgage represented only a relatively small percentage of the property's current market value. On paper, it looked like an excellent case, and to me, it was. Interestingly, several mainstream lenders still weren't interested in taking over the mortgage. Rather than accepting those initial responses, we spoke with a number of challenger lenders whose lending appetite was different. Eventually, after a few months of hard work, we found the right lender for my friend. The new mortgage enabled my friend to repay the family member in full, raise additional funds to reinvest back into the property, and at the same time, even secure a lower interest rate than he had been paying previously. The outcome was fantastic. The family member received their money back, the property was improved and invested in, the mortgage terms were even better, and perhaps most importantly, a situation that had been causing family tension for several years was finally resolved. The lesson from this story isn't that every resident homeowner can refinance. They certainly can't. Responsible lending still applies. Banks will still assess your income, your affordability, financial commitments, credit profile, and the purpose of the borrowing. The real lesson here is this: different lenders have different lending policies. They have different commercial objectives, and they have different appetites for different types of refinance. Sometimes the challenge isn't finding a lender at all, it's finding the right lender. To conclude, if you're a Spanish tax resident and you've owned your property for a number of years, it may well be worth reviewing your current mortgage situation. But don't start by asking, can I refinance? Start by asking, will refinancing genuinely leave me in a better financial position once all the costs have been taken into account? That is a very different question, and it's exactly the analysis we carry out for every client who approaches Fluent Finance Abroad. Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. Either way, our role is to give you honest, independent advice so you can make an informed financial decision. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to discuss your own refinancing options, we'll be delighted to help. And until next time, use your brain first and your heart second, and always make informed financial decisions before making long-term commitments. Thank you.